Hey, confirmation students, this is a video for October 4th, and with the month of October we begin, this is the month of the Reformation, so we'll talk about the Reformation some in the coming weeks as well. But so for the readings for this week, we pick up where we left off last week with the end of Genesis. So we talked about the famous story of Joseph and reconciling to his brothers, forgiving his brothers and saying what you meant for evil, God was able to bring for good. What a wonderful reminder to us and this example of forgiveness that we see in Joseph. Now there's a big chunk of stories now that's transitioning us from the end of Genesis into Exodus. And the main character in the book of Exodus is going to be born here. And so Pastor Schumacher, tell us about the main character of the book of Exodus.
Yeah. Now, if you remember, we go from one person Abraham, one person Isaac, one person Jacob. Now you have 12 sons, and those 12 sons at the end of Genesis, there's 70 of them all if you count their kids and grandkids. Now, when we get to Exodus, now they're a mighty people. They're a favored people living in Egypt because God used Joseph to bless Egypt, and the Pharaoh remembered that and blessed the Israelites.
So I want to dwell on that point for just a second. Get this picture in your mind because the scriptures don't lay it out as much. So Joseph had been like number 2 to Pharaoh. He was a big deal. And so Pharaoh allowed him to bring all of his family in. We're talking, as he said, there were 12 sons, and they had wives and children, their children had children, and years went by, and they just multiplied. We're talking like thousands of Israelites now living in Egypt, which was so cool because when Joseph was at the top, the people of Israel were considered to be important, and they received blessings. But the problem was, as time passed,
there came a Pharaoh who knew not Joseph. And now Pharaoh says, these Israelites have grown too strong. I'm going to make them slaves. So the Israelites go from top to bottom. If you can imagine your day, what's your day going to be like? Work, 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 make bricks, make bricks, make bricks. What's tomorrow going to be like? Work, 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 make bricks, make bricks, make bricks. And then on top of it, Pharaoh says, well, we don't want too many male Israelites, so let's kill their male children. And so there's one couple, and they have a little baby boy, and his name is Moses. But his parents don't want him killed, so they put him in a little boat, and they float him down the river. But Pharaoh's daughter sees this little boat, a little boat in the water that reminds us of the church. And the church is like the ark. Remember Noah and the ark? But now a little boat being rescued in the water.
You know, that's a great point.
Okay.
I'm gonna show you this. So in the history of the churches have always been designed, the architecture of the church, that is the way the churches are designed, is actually to resemble that of a boat. As Pastor Schumacher said, both the ark, which was protecting Noah and his children during the midst of the flood, and also the little raft, the little boat that they put Moses in. If you take a church and you look up, have you ever noticed the way that the top of the church is? It's supposed to. I can't ever figure out how to point. There we go.
That's fine.
There we go. So these things here, it's like what do you call that?
The ark.
No, what do you call it in the bottom of a boat?
Oh, okay.
Nave? Is it nave?
No, the nave is the building we're in.
Yeah, but I think anyway, Google it. Yeah. But so the same word is actually the stuff that's on the bottom of a ship. So if you picture like a big structure of a ship, like at the bottom of Noah's Ark and stuff, which you can actually go over to I think Cincinnati,
yeah,
and see the ark. Yeah. It's like built to scale. It's pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
But so if you take the ship and turn it upside down, this would be like what it looks like from underneath. So that's pretty helpful. Their picture of the architecture of the church resembling the ark, resembling a boat, and we who are inside the church are protected from the chaos that's in the outside.
Well, but God calls Moses, and this is a very important story, is that, so the life of Moses grows up. Now, Moses always knows he's an Israelite, even though Pharaoh's daughters kind of adopted him. And then he kills an Egyptian for beating up on an Israelite, and he has to flee to Sinai. And while he's at Sinai, when he's 80 years old, God appears to him on Mount Sinai. How does he do this? In a burning bush. Moses approaches this, and he discovers...
Three Amigos fans, it was a singing bush.
Okay. I don't know about it. So this burning bush, now this is a very important story because Moses is called by God to lead his people out of Egypt. Moses is nothing. God is going to give him the power. But Moses asks him, "What is your name?" And God says, "I am who I am." And this kind of connects us to Jesus, because Jesus frequently says, "I am the way, the truth, and life. I am the bread of life. I am the good shepherd." But also in John 8:58, he says, "Before Abraham was, I am," showing that he is the God of Abraham and the God of Moses, and that he is God incarnate.
But since God wasn't speaking English from the burning bush, what did he say his name was?
Yahweh.
Yahweh. So when you hear that language of Yahweh, sometimes you'll hear that in some biblical translations, Yahweh, or hear that word. Yahweh is simply the Hebrew word I am, Hebrew words I am. The translation of that is Yahweh, or he is, or I am. So it's very helpful to recall that God is his name, and his name is where he is. It's kind of weird because we don't talk that way. So we're someone says Pastor Clemmer, I don't show up there magically, but where God puts his name, he also puts his presence, which becomes very significant for us in our Christian life, because in holy baptism, God puts his name on us, which we recall in making the sign of the cross. We remember that we're baptized into the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Where God puts his name, there he is. Remember, I am who I am. God's name and his being, his person, are the same. So when God puts his name on us, his promise to be with us always. So next week we'll pick up with the Exodus.
Yeah, this quote next week.
All right, the Lord be with you.